What do you think the future of shoegaze looks like?
I have a vision for a very popular shoegaze sound in my head, but I'm not sure if that's the future. It's just something that I would like to hear in the world, and that's imagine, I don't know, the quality of modern pop and trap music, but with noise. This is something that I have in my mind. I think noise could be a much more popular element in modern pop music because I think it's really inspiring and not only for nerds like we are. I also think for people, I don't know, for everyone. But the thing is that not so many people are familiar with it or know it or had ever had a relationship with this kind of sound. And it's always about this. I think you have first there has to be someone who introduces it, and the more people know it and the more people are familiar with it, the more people are used to it, and then a new element can I don't know, lift up the whole music industry. And a dream of mine for sure is that this sound of noise and shoegaze would be in our popular music mind as well, but on the other hand, maybe it will lose its magic that way as well. So I'm not sure what's the right way here. I sometimes wish I don't know, I could help to I don't know, how is it called? I have to look up this word. Uh, Uplift, maybe uplift the sound of noise in modern pop music. I wish I could help there, and this is something I want to do with Uncanny Valleys as well. I think some people already started, and yeah, I would also love to be part of this movement. But maybe it's also like shoegaze during the '90s. Nobody will notice.
Well, so long as someone picks up on it eventually, right? Then
Yeah, it's still so inspiring. That's that's the most important thing.
I'm not so sure because, and this is why I want to talk to creatives right now, because I have a feeling that even though we're starting to get back to how things used to be, things won't ever go back to how they used to be. I just can't. I can't see 2022 and 2023 looking like 2017 and 2018. I
Absolutely not.
and it's so sad because as a content creator, as a musician, even if you're someone who is into business, it seemed like the 20s was going to be a great decade where everyone was going to come together and technology was really going to help push us forward. Before, when you looked at like the 80s and the 90s, they looked like
Yeah,
very like significant segments of history. Now
yeah.
things don't work in like decades anymore. Like 10
Mm-mm.
years in the 90s is very different to today. Like I feel like we go through a whole decade in 3 years now. Our
Yeah,
phones
that's
change, habits change.
yeah, you placed that very well. It's exactly what I think too. It's like every 3 years the world is another one. So everything is going so fast right now. Yeah, it's hard to keep up, and it's also hard to be emotionally stable during these times because there's not no rope you can grab. You can just go with it, just surfing on the wave in some way. But it's, yeah, it's hard because there are many waves and there are big waves sometimes, and sometimes it throws you from the board and it's hard to to swim and to find your board again and to step on it. It's really hard. It's I try to make a picture here, but I think you know what I mean.
I fully agree with you. It's so difficult, and some people they fall off. Like I remember when I was playing music as a kid, and like I'd never had any aspirations of playing gigs, but it was still cool to know guitar and learn how to play piano and synthesizers. And I really came to love synthesizers over the last like 5 or so years. But now it's like it's just like the entire concept of getting a group of people together to play a gig was
Mm-hmm.
already looking a little murky before, and now I'm not saying it's gone. I definitely think people will want to come together and play gigs, but it just seems
Sure.
like there are so many things that keep people distracted, whether it's technology, whether it's this discourse. Like there are
Mhm.
venues in my city that are turning down bands because, and I know for some people this is controversial, but like the whole vaccine thing. Like I had a band that we were putting together right before the pandemic happened, and it hit my city pretty bad to the point where we couldn't even rehearse. And now it's like me and like the other half of the band, like we're vaxxed and we want to be able to perform and we want to get out there with like other people and play. And then we have other people who like they're not like anti-vax, they're not against it, but they want to wait and see. And now they're getting told like you can't even come into a restaurant to eat that a few years ago we were able to sit down at. How do we expect to play gigs? How do we expect to have an audience? We're hearing people wanting to boycott certain venues because they're saying you can't have people coming in to do this or that. And it's like I just feel like there are so many distractions that are coming up
Oh
today
yeah.
that are keeping people from looking at like the creativity and the humanity aspects of our day-to-day lives. Now it seems like we're always looking for things to we're looking for distractions. And like I can't also tell people and dictate how they live their lives, but it's just I don't see that camaraderie of artists coming together anymore. I just don't see a group of people, whether you're young or old, coming together to create in the same way. And I hope I'm wrong, because if I'm wrong, it means that we get that renaissance of creativity, which would be a
Mm.
beautiful thing. And I want to see that. But from what I'm seeing so far, and I'm not very optimistic for the future when it comes to content creators or artists in general.
Bam. Yeah, we're living in very uncertain times. I mean, it's hard to make any future, how's it called? Vorher, in German, it's Vorhersagen.
That's a cool word.
Predictions. Oh, thanks. Thanks, Google. It's hard to make any future predictions, and we never lived in a time like this before. This is for humanity, that's the first time, and it will always be the first time, no matter how far we go. So this is, I guess, this is the task here. We have to figure it out, and we always figured it out in some way, you know. And maybe, I don't know, maybe not in 10 or in 20 years, people will say, oh, how can you remember how it was? But maybe in 3 years. Can you remember 2019? Something like that, you know? How good
Yeah.
was it then? Yeah. And I remember that 2019 was a very shitty year and I was super stressed. But then 2020 came, and now I don't think so about 2019 anymore. Yeah. And it's always like this. I guess humans are very nostalgic creatures, you know. We always want something back that we already know because it gives us certainty, but there is no certainty. And yeah, it's surfing all the time. Only the waves are getting bigger and more weird.